If you have done years of healing work, you've done therapy, courses, plant medicine, spiritual practices, and you still feel like something hasn't fully resolved, this episode is going to explain why. Because healing in the Akashic Records shows us that there is a very specific sequence to the healing. And when that sequence is out of order or it's not fully completed, you hit a stall. So we get to solve that here today. I am going to share with you all the 4 steps of healing in the Akashic Records. What's up, everybody? My name is Emily Harrison. I'm the founder director here inside the Akashic Academy, and excited to bring you some powerful information that humanity needs this week. Light up my chat box once you're here. Say hello. And we are going to start breaking it down in here. What is up, Lynn Armstrong? I see you. Sherry, I see you too. Thank you for being here. Let me know where you guys are tuning in from. I am joining you from the high Sierras here in Reno, Nevada. And in 2015, my life shifted dramatically. I experienced paranormal, life-changing, mind-altering experience in the Akashic Records. And I became hooked. My timeline shifted. I realized how impactful this is for humanity. And I made a risky decision to leave a career that I'd given up everything for. Okay, I was an actress in Hollywood, and I took a big old timeline jump in, became an entrepreneur. And as a college dropout, that was very interesting. However, what I've come to know about the human genome is, man, we are creative, we are powerful, we can learn stuff. And when my soul mission revealed itself to me in 2015, I got excited and I had to get on board. So this is part of it. Thank you all for being here with me. Let's talk about why healing matters. All right, why healing matters. Healing is so important because it is what's going to lead us to unlocking our unique genius here on the planet. And we actually have the ability to self-heal. It is not rocket science. What most people miss about healing ourselves is that they think that something's broken, that it requires fixing something. And what the Akashic Record shows us is it's more about remembering the wholeness, the truth of who we are. Outside of distortion. Okay, so when we come into our human experience, this incarnation, there's a lot of distortion, a lot of Maya, a lot of illusion that our soul moves through to understand higher levels of truth. And that's what the Akashic Records does, or does, whichever one. How many of you are new to the Akashic Records? If you are new, let me share with you, the Akashic Records are the realm of consciousness that hold all intelligence, all data, past, present, all possible futures, and is recorded from a neutral perspective. Neutral means unconditional love and zero judgment. Every single person on the planet has an Akashic Record, in addition to, truly every person, place, thing, idea has its own Akashic Records. Your animals do, your home does. Planet Earth does, your relationships do, your business does, your legacy projects, the books, the genius that is locked inside of each one of you has its own Akashic Record as well. That's what's really cool, is that we can use the Akashic Records to tap into the consciousness of our mission, the consciousness of a project. I definitely used it in creating the consciousness of the training, Learn to Read the Akashic Records, which I'm going to share with you all how you can learn how to read your Akashic Records too. But first, let's play together. Okay. All right. So I have some notes here that I want to make sure I follow these. The Akashic Records has created some protocol that they want me to share with you all today. But before I share with you the 4 steps, I want to just share with you some backstory, just a little bit of backstories, some client stories of how this is just so freaking profound. Okay. All right. So we're going to talk about how you heal these deep emotional wounds Your emotional wounds eventually will manifest into your physical reality. Okay, your emotional wounds start as mental fractures. They start as coping systems, belief systems that we take on in order to cope, in order to protect ourselves, that don't represent the truth or wholeness of who we are. So any dis-ease that we have in life starts in the mental plane, it becomes emotional. Once that vibration increases, eventually it will become physical in nature. All right. I had a client who had a very rare type of breast cancer that metastasized into her lymph nodes. The survival rate for this was in the teens. Okay. And she's been cancer-free for a year. Let's hear some whoop, whoop for people tapping into their self-healing power. All right. I also had a client who suffered from an autoimmune disease where she couldn't go out in the sun. It affected every part of her life. From the macro, she was estranged from her family, couldn't go on family vacations. On the micro, she couldn't go to the grocery store. And after 3 months of training in the Akashic Records and learning these systems, she became symptom-free. She was going to festivals in t-shirts and sandals and going to Hawaii with her kids and skydiving, and complete change of life. All right. So again, let's hear it for self-empowerment, y'all. Let's don't stay in learned helplessness, right? Another pattern that I want to point out that's I've seen in so many people, it's just as dangerous, it's less visible. I still have this one, if I'm being truly honest, and it's overworking. Anybody suffer from overworking? Okay, so when that distortion clears and our nervous system regulates, our immune system strengthens, and what happens is people stop sacrificing their health for productivity. They change the vibrational frequency, the underlying vibrational frequency, and when we do this, our physical reality changes. That's why the symptoms go away, okay? Makes sense? Are you guys excited? Send some love, likes, hearts across the screen if you're excited. I'd also love to know, what is it that you want to heal today? I'm going to hold space for you to heal. All right. I am so glad that you guys are here. Thank you for being here. You guys make the show. The show doesn't exist without you, and there are literally millions and billions of other things that you can be doing. So let me just cut to the chase here and share who this is for today. So you can go do something else if this is not for you. All right. If you've tried other healing methods and you've stalled out, you've gotten some success, but you've stalled out, we're going to unlock it today. And by the way, the records, the guides say this is good. You are on the precipice of embodiment. You are ready for a breakthrough. So I don't want you to be discouraged. I'm glad you're here. All right. This is also for those of you who want to take your healing into your own hands. I love it that you love to come to readers like me and healers and psychics and shaman and therapists. All right. But if you don't want to have to wait till your next appointment, you want to take this stuff into your own hands. I'm glad you're here today because I'm going to show you the tricks. So next time you show up to your therapist's office or your healer's office, you can impress them. You be ready for them. All right. This is also for you if you're ready to unlock your next level of genius. I was hired yesterday by a really cool new client. She hired me to help unlock genius inside of her mind. She's a mental health specialist, and she knows that she's here to innovate the current systems and structures of the mental health field. And we get to unlock the creativity that's in her mind through the Akashic Records. So yay, fun stuff that gets to happen. I'm glad you guys get to experience it today. Anne is saying she feels grief. It's the loss of her dad and also family. Thank you. I've got some grief in my field too right now. So we're going to talk about, how to move through these things and tapping into the gifts. Yep. Annette! I'm glad to see you. All right. So let's dive into these notes today. All right. We're going to talk about the 4 steps to healing in the Akashic Records. All right. Also, let me just share with you fun facts. Here's why you're getting this today. Everybody, give a round of applause and thanks to Christina. Christina and I had an Akashic Records session this week, and she didn't come inquiring about healing specifically, although the records were and guides were so happy that she was there. There was a flood of information that came in, and I was scribbling notes down of the things the guides wanted me to share with her. And unfortunately, way too many other things came in. And by the time I closed the records, and I was preparing the replay, and I was looking through my notes, and I was like, oh, darn it. I forgot to give her those 4 steps of healing. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to do it on my show because everybody needs this. Okay. So thank y'all for being here. Let's thank Christina and let's dive in. All right. So step number 1 for healing in the Akashic Records is, and if you guys want to follow along, you can follow along by using whatever it is that you want to heal. All right, we've got some grief healing in the house. Sherry says she feels like business has stalled out. So we'll hold space to find the root causes of these things, okay? Oh, you are definitely connecting to ancient spiritual wisdom, Miss Annette. Yeah, and thank you, Christina. All right. So step 1 is identifying the root emotion, the root theme of what we're experiencing. Okay. And they're going to be basic things. All right. And the more you can get to those core wounds, the better. So here are core wounds. Actually, you guys start helping me out in the comments, because of course I'm not going to think of all the core wounds. But definitely a big one is abandonment for humans. Self-worth. You can kind of see how it's cousins of abandonment. Like, we don't think we're worthy, which is why we got abandoned. Okay. Worthiness, abandonment, lack, perceiving ourselves from a state of lack. Ooh, these are all very, very, very big and important. Oh, here's another one. Not feeling seen and heard. It's so important. If you just think about it from the perspective of, we don't have our physical bodies in all the other dimensions. And so when we do have our physical bodies, lessons that we're going to be learning, of course, lessons of the physical are going to be highlighted, which is self-expression, creativity, right? This is our fundamental nature. All right, we got some coming in. Yes. Abandonment and being embarrassed. Yes. Disappointment. Ooh, is a big one for me too. Definitely one that my soul came to work through in this lifetime. Let's see. Anybody else have? There was another one that just flashed into my field. I guess we're gonna keep moving because it flashed back out. All right, but here's the idea: is that you want to find the core theme. All right, everybody who's following along, type core theme. Oh my gosh, loneliness. Yep, loneliness. That might even be a ripple connected to the abandonment, but go with what's coming up for y'all. Go with what's coming up. Okay, so the first step is to identify, like, what wound is this bringing up in me? And then we want to trace that wound back to the first time that we experienced it. All right. You may be wondering, why do we need to trace it back to the first time that we experienced it? It's crucial because most of our emotions are not coming from the present moment. Okay. Yes. Identify the core theme, the core emotion, and then trace it back to the first time that you can remember experiencing that. All right. Why is that important? Because emotions don't come from the present, most of them. Most of them are echoes from the past. Okay. They're earlier imprints from childhood, and sometimes they can even be ancestral. All right. So there are actually a couple steps in step 1. Core theme, trace it back. All right. See how we're requiring the consciousness to shift out of the present moment. Because here's the deal. When you are in that fight or flight, you're present, like what I would call problem solving mode. You can be present without being in problem solving mode. But when we're in problem solving mode, when we're in the crisis, when we're asking the question, we're using beta brainwaves. And those are not the brainwaves that we can find the solution from. And one of the attributes of the the beta brainwave state is that identity is anchored at that state. So ain't no change and shift and change and transformation going to happen from that state, y'all. All right, so you got to shift your consciousness. I'm going to talk more about why doing it in the Akashic Records is so effective. Although just moving your consciousness outside of the time-space continuum and locating it in a different point, that's requiring you to use different brainwaves, your theta and alpha brainwaves. Okay? Make sense? Your alpha brainwaves are what are tapping you into the daydream. Your theta brainwaves are what are loosening you from what feels like it's part of the Maya, part of the illusion that feels like we're anchored right here, like our consciousness can't move. Y'all, your consciousness can move anywhere. Okay, and once you remember that and you begin to let your consciousness move throughout the time-space continuum, for those of you who that feels challenging, work on your Merkaba. Okay, if it feels challenging for you to imagine, to daydream, to move through the time-space continuum, look up things on YouTube, ask your higher self to lead you to stuff. You'll find great stuff, but your Merkaba is what you need to activate. That's your light body. And that's what will help your consciousness move, okay, throughout the time-space continuum. Your imagination will actually get lighter. All right? Okay, so that is step 1. Until you find the origin, you're just treating symptoms. And it says theta is like bypassing my ego and not analyzing. Yes, theta opens up different aspects of our brain. Now, I will say, and that when you say the word bypassing, there is a such thing as spiritual bypassing, and we woo-woos, those of us who like to spend time in our higher chakras, the higher frequencies, being down in the survival mode, the lower chakras feels a little more uncomfortable. Yeah, those of us who do operate in the higher frequencies and our consciousness likes to be up in the higher chakras, it can be very easy for us to bypass the lessons that we need to learn. And unfortunately, here's what happens when you bypass spiritual lessons is that you drag them with you into the next timeline. And they get bigger as well. So if you notice that there are things in your life that are expanding and growing and you feel like, yes, I'm in a new timeline in certain places, but I still got this old pattern following me and it feels like it's getting bigger. Like for me, until I figured out wealth management, debt was a big thing for me. So what happened to me was I learned how to make more money, but I didn't learn how to manage my money because it's an energetic, right? I just started working harder to make more money. And what happened is that I actually ended up in more debt than before I made money. Back when I was on food stamps, for y'all who don't know my story, I went from being on food stamps to a multi-6-figure business really quickly. There was an 8-month stretch there where I quintupled my income using very specific steps from the Akashic Records. And because the records work by invitation only, we got to ask for everything we need. I asked, how do I get out of this situation? I asked, why do I have this situation? Here's what I didn't ask, and it's, go figure, part of the system now. I didn't ask, Who am I without this debt pattern? Forming the new identity. That's step 4. Let's don't get ahead of ourselves. I said that's 4. We on step 2. All right, yeah. So for those of you who are highly spiritual, and like I said in the beginning, like who this is for, if you've done a lot of years of healing and you've gotten some results, but not the full results that you want, you might be bypassing one of these steps. Okay, but after today, you're going to know. All right, so we're on step number 2. Step number 2 is adding white light. If you're following along, type step 2, add white light in the comments. Let's talk about why. Okay. Once the root is identified, we add white light, not as a bypass, but as a conscious presence. Hey, speaking of conscious presence, say hello to my buddy Tone in the house. All right, so when we add the white light, I'm going to explain to you from a more scientific perspective why we want to add the white. Well, I say more scientific, but I'm going to give you the 3rd grade science version, just in case any of y'all, didn't like sitting in your class in grade school and you snuck out when the teacher wasn't looking and you went to play on the playground, like some people I know. I'll explain it in 3rd grade terms so we can all play together. Okay. But when you add the white light, this is where the nervous system begins to relax and the body will feel safe enough to release. Okay, white light, it's not here to erase the experience. Here's what the white light is here to do, okay? I want you to think about full spectrum light. Actually, let me take you someplace else first, all right? I talked about also in the top of the episode where a lot of people go wrong with healing is that we feel like something's broken. We feel like there's a lack, again, back to one of the fundamental core wounds. We feel like something's missing. If we look at energy as light, okay, we're going to look at energy as light and data. Science shows us that this entire universe exists on a mental plane first and foremost. That is the creation zone, is the plane of the mental plane. Everything is mental in nature. My whole circuit just went. Everything is mental in nature. It's data. And if we further look at the construct of this matrix, it's a binary matrix, which means it's zeros and ones. That reflects the nature of polarity that we experience here. Okay. So data, that's one thing that in order to understand this construct, we want to anchor in. Everything is data. Okay. My cup of water here looks like a cup of water. This is data. This is data arranging itself in a certain vibration and appearing in a certain frequency, a certain realm. It's data. Okay. Also, while it looks like it's a solid piece of matter here, it's actually a bunch of particles of light. All that data, all that frequency, it's a construct of light. And when we have white light, we're working with full spectrum energy. We're working with all the data. Okay. Here's why we feel broken from a human perspective is because we experience the situation from only a partial perspective, from the broken, the victim nature of that perspective. So we're holding only part of the encoding of that lesson, of that data, and everything that we experience to learn, to grow, and our souls have agreed to this. Okay. So when you add that white light, what you're doing beyond a way that your conscious, your subconscious mind can understand, in a way that your body can understand, though, that your soul understands, that you can perceive then through your imagination, you get the full spectrum of light. You get the full spectrum of information. So what that does is it allows your consciousness to understand the other person's perspective from a neutral place, even if they were an oppressor in that situation, in the situation that you experienced. It doesn't dismiss a wrong that was potentially done to you. However, you're able to understand it from this complete perspective, which brings it into a state of healing, a state of wholeness. That's why we use the white light. All right. Does anybody have any questions about the white light or any questions up until now about how this works? Okay. And so what you'll notice once you bring in white light is how you start to think about the situation is going to shift and change. All right, let's see. We got any questions? Spirit to spirit transmissions. Any questions? All right, so we're going to move on to step 3 now. Step 3 is asking the question that changes everything. Oh, speaking of questions, I got one here. Sherry says, what if you can't pinpoint the origin, the wound's origin? Well, one of the reasons that working the Akashic Records is really powerful, that you doing this work in the Akashic Records is really powerful, is because it opens up thresholds in your mind so that you can access more memory, because we're using different brainwaves. All right, so Sherry, what I would say is that if you can't pinpoint the wounds, perhaps it's the state of consciousness that you're in. So you want to do things that relax the body. Open up your Akashic Records. Do some breath work. Do some meditation. Do things that give you higher levels of access, and then ask again. And go with the first thing that comes up in your mind. Okay, maybe something from being a teenager comes up and you thought, oh, I thought I was going to be young. Just go with whatever comes up in your mind. The important aspect, like we said, is moving outside of this time-space continuum, because most of our emotion does not originate from the present. Okay. Sherry says, gotcha. Good question, Sherry. Great question. I'm sure a lot of people had that question, so I'm glad that you asked. All right, so back to step 3 and the question that you need to ask next. The question that changes everything is, what was the gift within the wound? The gift within the wound. We must know that. That's the whole reason that your soul chose this experience anyway. So how did this help and support you? And as you acknowledge that, as you witness that, your soul will feel more whole and complete. Your soul never wastes experiences. Okay. Also, this is a critical key in self-trust. You know why so many of us don't trust ourselves? Is because we haven't uncovered more our truth, to understand the truth of who we are. We don't know the truth of who we are. And we don't know why we signed ourselves up for the experiences that we did. It can make it really challenging to trust ourselves. Core wound is related to self-care and your light. Yes. Yeah, that was my client Cindy's core wound that eventually developed into the autoimmune disease where she couldn't go outside. Okay. Inside every single wound is intelligence, strength, perception, discernment, compassion, and leadership. When the gift is reclaimed, the wound will lose its purpose. You get that? Does that make sense? When you flip the script, When you look at it differently and you recognize the purpose, the why, the wound will lose its grip on you. Send some love, likes, hearts across the screen if that landed. All right. That's alchemy right there, you magicians. We all are natural alchemists. Every time you eat something, your body alchemizes it. You eat a piece of bread, within 20 minutes, it becomes part of you. I got to practice saying that with an Indian accent because I learned that from Sadhguru. And he says it with an Indian accent, and it's badass. Every time you eat the piece of bread, within 20 minutes. Here's what alchemy is, besides just being cool and being a magician. It's your ability to transmute a substance from a corruptible state into a state of stability. Take a deep breath. Let that land. Swallow it. Really, hand on heart, hand on belly. That's what the Taoists do. Swallow saliva. They're swallowing the knowledge. They're getting the knowledge. All right, we're natural alchemists. We're here to do that. Every single time we alchemize something, we are shifting and changing the planet. Can you see how we're here to alchemize the planet right now? We're here to transmute the Maya, the illusion. As we transmute our wounds. Ooh, I just saw a big old flash of light in my vision, by the way. Thank you guys for being here. Fun stuff. And this is how we do it. So every time we're doing our own work, we are shifting and changing the planet. I don't know if you know this, but geometrically, our bodies are a holographic representation of Mother Earth. And so we are divinely connected to this conscious being. Every time we shift our energy, we're shifting her energy as well. Okay, so step 3 is what is the gift within the wound? That's where you tap into your inner alchemist. Step 4, y'all, we're rocking this, by the way. I've been ad-libbing a whole bunch, and we've only been hanging out together a half an hour, and y'all almost know how to heal your damn selves. That's all I can say. All right. Step number 4. Who are you? Actually, let me reframe that, make it even more powerful. Who am I without the wound? This final step, it has to do with identity. Okay, final step is identity. We are on an accelerated timeline. Welcome to the accelerated timeline of love, light, and victory, y'all. We are on the positive timeline of ascension. Thank you for rocking out here with me. Ask yourself, who am I without this wound? This is where the healing becomes permanent. This is the step that I missed too. Back when I did quintuple my income. We have powerful skills and we're learning. All right. Take it from me. By the way, if any of you come to me to quintuple your income, we will also talk about your skills and strategies for wealth management. And we will take a look at the other places in your life where you have energy leaks, because patterns repeat themselves. But I got you. I'll learn through experience. I'll help you out if you need it. Okay? Okay. All right. So let's see here. Oh, here's the other thing that I want to say. Identity. If our identity doesn't change, the nervous system recreates the pattern even after the insight. A way one of my other mentors used to say it is, gravity is fierce. Okay, let me read that quote to you again. Because if identity doesn't change, the nervous system recreates the pattern even after the insight. So we've got to change the identity. You got to wire your nervous system to be in alignment with that new identity. Expect to suck at this at first. Okay? Expect to suck really bad. Expect to have to practice. Expect to have to repeat it over and over and over until you're good at it, okay? Your legs will be wobbly. It's also very important to, if you want to create a new identity, you got to surround yourself with people who are also holding the frequency of growth mindset, like minds, like hearts, like plans, like dreams, like visions. Okay? Oh, y'all did it. Y'all did the 4 steps. All right, let's go. Quick review. Step 1, identify the root theme and go back to that first memory. Step 2, add white light. Step 3, ask the question that changes everything. What's the gift within the wound? Step 4, who am I without this wound? Pat yourselves on the back. We made that darn easy. Rock and roll. Send some love, likes, hearts across the screen for yourselves. You brilliant light workers. Excellent. All righty. So let's now talk about why it's so important, in my opinion, that you do this work inside of the Akashic Records, okay? Because what I've shared with you today, I'll be honest, it's from the vault. Okay, in the training, I teach people how to access their Akashic Records, and this is part of the self-healing aspect of the training. These are the questions that the students learn to, and the steps that the students learn to follow to heal many things in their life. Okay? Although it's not about doing these steps in your everyday life. So this is what I want to impress upon you all. Okay? If you feel like you've tried this kind of work and it hasn't worked as well for you, I want you to consider states of consciousness and the state of consciousness that you're in. Remember, if you are predominantly in the beta problem-solving state of mind, yes, you are going to have a hard time answering these questions. That's why I take people through a meditation process, a vibrational process that very specifically will activate and layer the proper brain waves so that you can start getting the information. Okay? Let me know if that makes sense. Send some love, likes, hearts across the screen if that makes sense. And I'll also share with you, here's the trick. You want to shift from beta into your theta brainwaves. Some people just don't know how to do that at will, okay? If you're one of those people who don't know how to do it at will, and you like to have your hand held in shortcuts, that's why I created the training course. All right. Yeah, that's why doing it yourself is so powerful, y'all. Let me see what else I want to tell you here, and then we're going to have time to for y'all to ask some more questions, okay? Annette says she got it. She got it. Yes. Cool. All right. So that's all of my notes here. Let me know if y'all have any questions. This is a glimpse, an easy, high-level glimpse of how to heal yourself. Also, let me know, what are you going to go heal? What are you going to go shift and change? I'm so excited for y'all. All right. All right. So we're going to move now into some personal Q&A. I want to answer some questions for y'all about what's going on in your lives, where you feel stuck. I will channel for you from the Akashic Records, channel in insight, intelligence, and transmission. And we will also do some energy healing. Okay? So let me know where you guys would like help and support. While you are filling up my chat box with questions, I got some announcements to share with y'all. Get that up there on the stage. Get it on the stage. Yes, for those of you who want to hang out in person, come check out Rise of the Guardians, May 8th through the 10th in Sedona. I'm going to be there with some heavy hitters, some power players. All right. So if you want to come hang out at Rise of the Guardians, you can hear each one of these speakers speak. If you want to stick around even a little bit longer on May the 11th, I knew it in there, the day after Rise of the Guardians, there is going to be an incredibly powerful Stargate activation sponsored by the Way of Being Foundation, which I am proudly on the board. We are bringing together members of the Native American community, prominent members, leaders. We're going to open a Stargate. It's going to be fun, y'all. All right, so come hang out in Sedona if you want. If you can't wait till May, you can come hang out at Conscious Life Expo. I'm going to be speaking at 2 p.m. on Friday the 20th. All right, I've said this to a couple of friends out loud. I'm going to say it out loud here to y'all. All right, I'm gonna try something different. I'm gonna do 3 minutes of spiritual stand up before my talk. All right. So if you'd like to see me be bad at something first, but willing to try it anyway, you can come on over and hang out at Conscious Life Expo. And then also, okay, guys, for those of you who have been following in my universe for a while, you likely know about the yearly immersion that we take to Mount Shasta over Lionsgate, where we are activated with light codes. These activate your DNA. And the goal of this trip is to harness the energy of Mount Shasta, which is the root chakra of the planet, and the galactic gateway that is Lionsgate, and call forward through the great central sun, through the star system Sirius, reaching you first on Earth through Mount Shasta. Mount Shasta is where the galactic codes come in first. All right, so those Syrian light codes that come in over Lionsgate activate us into the timeline of our highest potential, of our mission here on the planet. So not only are we aligning to that timeline using the root chakra, like from our base, from our root, we are aligning to that timeline. We're also downloading the specifics of what that looks like. Okay, but before you go into the classroom and you start downloading all the pieces, I got to take you out to get activated. This is okay. So all of the links to all of these different times when you can come jam with me and my crew and the Cosmic Avengers, all of those links are for you in the comments. And we're going to get into some of y'all's questions now. All right, we'll hang out here for a little bit longer. Let's go. Hi, Peaceful Penguin. Good to see you. Sedona sounds lovely. Oh, it sure does. All right, Annette says, I need help with embodiment. If you have a specific question, Annette, go ahead and light me up with it. Otherwise, I am going to drop in here. I'll keep an eye out on the chat here for you. And I'll drop in here and see what the guides want to tell us all of what we need to know about embodiment. Well, first of all, they're saying it's going to feel hard until it's not anymore. Pretty much like anything. Challenging until it's not anymore. I think Abraham Lincoln's got a great quote about that. And what the guides are saying is that this is where tapping into our future self is really important, because our future self has those codes. And it's so simple. It's so easy. The guides are likening it to riding a bike. So think about how you looked at the big kids who rode the two-wheelers before you could ride a bike. It felt very, at least for me, I'll speak from my own experience. It felt very out of reach. I felt like, whoo, doggy, that's a big one. Oh, you know what? I actually felt that way too. When I started my journey as an entrepreneur and I started recognizing that it's not just about the technique of how we create courses and how you share things. There's also all of the mindset, energetic work to it. And I started doing that energetic work. And one of the exercises that I had to do was map out my ideal life, my ideal day, just like a slice of life in my ideal day. And then I had to create a line item budget around it and then figure out how much my ideal life costs every month. And it was $15,000, 15K plus. And it was, I mean, I'd made that a couple of times in Hollywood. I had a couple of like big projects where I would, work for a month and I'd make 20K for the month. But then, however, I wouldn't work for 8 months after that. So actually it's not very good when you add it up that way, is it? Some of you are like, damn, no. All right. But figuring out, hang on. Let me tap back into the frequency. Tone, clear my field. The guys just short circuited everything. I was like, phew, lights out. All right. All right. So yeah, I might just have to go back to the next question go on to the next question until that one drops back in. Oh, another thing that you guys can actually do to help me is let me know the last thing that you remember me saying, and then I can pick back up on the frequency. All right. Something totally just blew the circuit though, and the communication distortion. All right. I'm going to go here to Peaceful Penguin. In the early 1930s, mining engineer Guy Ballard was hiking on Shasta when he met Saint Germain, and he gave an account of the pure energy and told him about the ascended masters. Yes, that I actually have an image where Saint Germain shows up in the image on Mount Shasta. All right, great to see you too. All right. Annette helping me out here. Let things leave my body so I can embody. That's good stuff. I definitely was talking about, I remember. Yes, thank you. Short circuited me. I did a line item breakdown of what my ideal life looked like, and it was bigger than I felt like I could ever make. I'm like, how's that going to happen? Like, no clue. It felt way bigger than me. I know where we are. We're back to the bike riding. When you're a little kid and you're looking up to you're riding your tricycle with your training wheels, and you're looking at the big kids and you're like, dang. And then maybe you try it once or twice and you're like, holy crap, there's no way. Now you look back and you're like, oh, wow. Okay. That was easy. It became easy. Okay. Embodying our highest potential, our authority, our divinity, it feels a little out of reach, like it would be magical if we could do that, and we can glimpse it every now and then. It's just like riding the bike. You get up, you hop on, your little feet can cycle through the pedals a couple times, and then you topple over. Your future self has done this enough times that it remembers how easy it is. Okay. I promised you an activation with every question. And the guys want to bring in an activation from your future self. So allow your future self to come into your field, into your awareness right now, and give you a message, give you a transmission. How about that? A transmission is actually less pressure than a message. I can't even believe I got all those S's and SH's right. A transmission is less pressure than a message. Okay, a message requires you to interpret. I promise you have the ability to interpret it. Although for those of you who are still in a state of second guessing yourself, just let yourself receive the transmission. Okay, allowing it to be easy. Remind me, future self, that my divinity is effortless, that source is pulsating through me at all times. Allow me to connect and see that in these now moments. Okay, if you will speak that, create that vibrational resonance through your body, you'll receive that transmission at an even higher level. Aho. Oh, my George is asking for an angelic sponsor to fly me out to Shasta and Lionsgate. Okay, I will say, for those of you who want to come to Shasta and you feel like you don't have the resources to get there, I will promise you it is not a question of resources. It is a question of your resourcefulness. And asking where I can get more resourceful so I can XYZ is a great question to ask yourself. Do not ask yourself, why am I so broke? When is Shasta? Shasta is every year, August 8th through the 10th. For anything, let's just ask now, for anything that we want and desire, simply ask Source to reveal the resources that allow me access to XYZ. And we must be willing to see what is unseen and oftentimes take actions that we haven't taken yet. So just know, if you say that prayer and you come back and you're like, Emily, didn't work. That'll be the first thing that I ask you is, okay, where was the test? And if you follow along, you know I don't love the word test, but here's the deal. If you just prayed that prayer, you spoke that invocation to become more resourceful, the next thing, step 2, is you're going to be tested. What does that mean? It means you are going to have an opportunity where you must embody this new version of yourself. And that's a lot of times where we fumble, is that 1, we miss the invitation. 2, the invitation comes, but we fail in the invitation. The invitation is usually a trigger, by the way. And because gravity is fierce, and because you go into your beta brainwaves when you're triggered, you're problem solving, aka your feathers are ruffled, aka your panties are in a wad. It's very hard to jump instantly into theta brainwaves when your panties are in a wad. Somebody type that one into the comments. And with that, I will remind you again, you can hang out at Conscious Life Expo. You can come hang out at Rise with the Guardians. And or you can join us in Mount Shasta, y'all. All right. So thank you for hanging out with me. If this has served you, share it out. I am going to sign off now. For those of you who are interested in learning how to read your own Akashic Records so you don't have to wait for healing, all right, so that you can plug up these energy leaks and experience freedom in your health, in your wealth, in your future. You can experience deeper connections with yourself, with God, with others. You can do what you came here to do. I want you to watch the outro here. You're going to learn more about the Akashic Record training, along with how it helped a couple students. You're going to follow Lisa and Robert in their experience. Okay. All right. I love you guys. I'll see you next week.
The Akashic Records hold all information, past, present, and future, and are available to assist you now.
Do you seek answers within yourself but don't know if you can trust your intuition? Do you desire positive change in life but feel unsupported by others? Do you suffer from failure to execute but have hit your point of enough? Not only have I been there, but I have found my way out, and so can you. The Akashic Records are your key to understanding any area of stagnation and hold solutions to your greatest challenges. My mission is to teach you everything I know about the Akashic Records, how to use them with mastery, while always staying in beginner's mind, which will keep you humble yet powerful. It's all within you. Come, let me show you.
What have I gained from the Akashic Records? Reading the Akashic Records has strengthened and deepened my intuition, and at the same time allowed me to build a deeper connection with the inner wisdom of my gut and my heart in order to be able to support and challenge the decisions that I've made in my head.
Learning to read the Akashic Records helped me to cultivate the courage and the knowledge to start a new business. It helped guidance become clearer. It helped me become more confident for my entire life moving forward.